it's one thing to say you live the way that you want to live, because we can't, like you said earlier, we can't legislate sin. We can't legislate, how people behave necessarily. I mean, obviously we can say don't kill someone and don't steal someone's property. But if they want to live a lifestyle, that's fine. But do not change the way that, don't try to change the way I think. And, and we don't have to accept it. We know the truth. Mm-hmm. We don't have to accept what you say, but I'm not going to pander to what you want me to call you. But when you said tolerate, what one nation tolerates, the next generation embraces. And that's what we're looking at right now. People are like, some people don't even think about it because they don't know the truth out of here.
Well, the Christians are this statement I'm about to make is not a biblical statement, but the world thinks that Christians or Christianity is a tolerant religion. Mm-hmm. And the church has got that wrong. We are not a tolerant religion. We are patient. God is not tolerant. He does not tolerate your sin. He is patient with you while you're going until he can get you to the next step. He doesn't tolerate it because that's accepting it. And we do not have to accept sin.
There's a difference. Well, I mean, look at what Christ set the foundation. We often reference the woman at the well or the woman caught in adultery. Christ says to the woman caught in adultery, where are your accusers? Well, they're not here. Well, then go and sin no more. The thing is,
don't do it again.
Right,
is what he's saying.
But it's understanding the foundation of sin, what sin is, and our emotions allow us to justify sin, and that's what we're seeing when somebody's throwing a holy conniption fit. Mm-hmm. It's because their emotions are justifying their sin instead of accepting this is a foundational principle. C.S. Lewis, in the first 5 chapters of Mere Christianity, breaks down the universal nature of who our God is and the universal condition. Like you were talking about murder, that's universal. All cultures, all languages. Murder, bad. Stealing, bad. Adultery, bad. The reason that is because we're all created in the image of God. Our morality stems from God, first and foremost. And C.S. Lewis hypothesizes and comes to the conclusion that if it's universal, that every single one of us is defined by that morality, then God must be. There's no outside.
Well, culture and the world is shaping the minds of kids earlier and earlier. And the church has always been a step behind, but the church, we've got to start leading these conversations. We've got to start teaching the God's design for sex and marriage clearly. We try in my house, me and my wife, to show an exact, we're very affectionate. We're not overly touchy in front of the kids, but I want my kids to see how a father and a wife, or a father and a mother in a loving marriage should treat each other. We need to model what that looks like. And it's that's one thing the church tends to, when it gets into the sexual conversation, they shy away from. And when we should be promoting God's design for that. And we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about, let's talk about that now at an age-appropriate level so there is some understanding and there's no confusion.
Agreed. And, also there's a lot of parents out there that will say, oh, we don't fight in front of our kids. We go behind closed doors and stuff. And I get maybe some arguments can be had in private, but your kids need to see you argue.
Well, how are they going to know how to work it out?
Resolve. Fight well and resolve.
Good point.
So that, when they get married, that they get blindsided with an argument, they know how to handle themselves, the right way, instead of saying, I'm mad, I'm leaving. You model how you're affectionate, you model how you get through adversity, and then you model how you live out your life.
Yep.
So stone cold stunners are out.
Yeah. Stone cold stunners are out.
Well, I mean, you can say that this is happening with love.
Do the woo. Well, and the third big one, and you kind of just touched on it, the enemy's coming after families and fatherhood.
Hardcore.
Look at aggressively.
Just look at TV commercials. When's the last time you seen a generically plain white family in any TV commercial? They're all, here's a gay couple with mixedly raised children. There's nothing.
Mixedly.
I don't know if that's a word.
I'm I don't know where he's going to go with this.
I'm trying to say it to where we're not going to get kicked off of YouTube's.
No, I know.
Where is there, and it doesn't even just have to be a white family, where is there a nuclear family
just
where
regular
the guy
families.
is not a buffoon and the woman is more of a man?
Every sitcom, the dad is an idiot anymore.
Or not there.
Or not there. Or dead. They kill the poor guy off.
Well, and the church
From his buffoonery.
the church must build up men, be unapologetic about it, and families, and we got to stop shrinking back from that responsibility. I have no issues, depending on the role of a woman being in leadership. But when you look around in your church and there's more women in leadership roles than men, the men are going to have to step up and do something. It should not always be put on the women.
And guys, if you're going to get milk, come home. Get the milk and come home. Be responsible.
We also
responsible.
part 4. I wanted to get your guys' opinions on biblical stewardship and generosity. I think there's a right way to teach about finances and being generous, and not the materialistic side of it. And where's their classes and education on being stewards of what God has given us? What little you have, or if you have a lot, that all belongs to God anyways.
And the whole world doesn't need to know.
The whole world doesn't.
Oh man, freaking social
Don't
media.
let your right hand know what your left hand is doing.
My brother sent me something the other day, and it was one of those videos where a guy knocked on somebody's door and said, "Hey, do you have a pair of shoes for me?" And the lady's like, "Oh yeah, here you go." And then he's like, "Awesome, thanks for helping me out. I want to give you $1,000." And like, it's a great video and it makes you feel good and stuff, but it's social media. I mean, think about it this way though: we're at least glorifying that type of behavior, which now is leading to more of that behavior happening, which is one good takeaway from it. But at the same time, Jesus tells us, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, or vice versa.
If you're always out, and we should be feeding the homeless, we should be caring for the widows and the orphans, we should be taking care of God's people. That's the church's responsibility, and as a man, that's your responsibility. It's to it's to God, and then your family, and whatever you have left over, and you felt called to do by the Lord. That's what you do. But if you're out there posting, look what I did for the homeless. Hey guys, help us grow the kingdom of God. Go to mkdotalk.com, buy some swag, cool shirt, picture of this guy.
Hey.
We just want to get the word of the Lord out there, and we need your help doing it. And you should have something cool to wear while you help.
We're building community.
Of followers.
That's Josh.
This is Andy.
Hi.
Bye. And you got to show the world it's about you.
Right.
You've taken God out of the equation.
Yeah. And every time you're at church, you got to tell the whole church what you did that week for everybody in the world. That's pathetic.
There's an old TV show like Robots or something like that, and one of the themes is see a need, fill a need, and that's kind of been the
Meet the Robinsons.
That's the same thing. That's kind of been the way I've been going about tithing lately. Like, we go out to dinner, instead of giving like the 5-10% tip, maybe throw it a little bit extra more, because now what you're giving is directly impacting somebody. And it's blowing their mind, because there's gratitude and grace that comes along with that. And when you're actually out there fulfilling a need for someone instead of just giving to the collection plate, you're shifting the balance of things. Really cool quip I saw, somebody wrote on, instead of giving them a financial tip, they wrote on the bottom of the ticket, be better. And the story that the woman tells is, that really offended me, but at the same time, she's right, and went from being like the waitress that just got the extra tables that were left over to becoming the premier person within the restaurant. And then the people came back and like, here, great job, something like that.
That's a fine story, but it's cheap.
It might
5%, 5 to 10% tipper. Wow, Andy, I would not have admitted that.
Not 5 to 10%, 20%, whatever. You get the point.
No.
We know what you're saying.
Heard it.
And no.
All right, YouTube's hammer him. Cheap tipper.
I know what you're saying. And the letter in that woman's mind probably was not be a better waitress, just be better.
Yeah.
To push. I get it, but you definitely don't want to just leave that on it.
No. Yeah, I wasn't was not condoning that, but it was a good takeaway. My point saying, like, that's the ministry that I've got financially. Sometimes we'll hit somebody with a heavy tip, especially if we see they're struggling or having a bad day, because they need that pick-me-up, man. And that's the power of Christ living in us. Instead of us being worldly and being like, well, this person sucked at their job. No, we freaking show them grace and be like, hey, man, here's $50.
They're having a rough
Great job.
day.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work. We'll see you next time we're here. And the reactions you get from people, even if you go 30%, they're like, oh, these people. That comes from Christ, man. Only comes from Christ.
Yep. Yeah, and being a good steward is a big thing. We've got so many people living above their means, and then they don't even understand why they're struggling. Well, because you're buying more stuff than you can afford. You just, I think you mentioned earlier, doesn't matter how little or how much you have, it's a percentage that we tithe to the church, okay? But that everything belongs to God. So take care of what you have. Your paycheck comes, well, you tithe your 10% off your gross, and then that's first, and then everything else comes after that. So your mortgage, your bills, gasoline for your cars, and then whatever's left, budget it out and say, hey, we've got some fun money here, and then the rest is going to stay somewhere. Well, you've got to be a good steward, not just saying, oh, I want this TV today, I'll go buy it, I'll suffer for 2 months and credit card bills and stuff like that. No, that's not being a good steward. That's being not wise. You know what I mean?
The additional piece of that is that we're putting our trust and faith in God. The Lord will always provide for us. And we have this belief that it's within our own power that we have to provide these things. If we perceive the things that we have in this world as a gift from God and us being stewards of those things that don't belong to us, that includes our physical things, but even our families. They are God's first, and it is our job to foster this stewardship over everything that He has given us.
And let me just say this too. A lot of people think tithing is a money grab from the church. It's not. It's a command from God, first of all. He wants 10%, just 10% of what He's given us. And what that money does is when you're doing that, you're being faithful to God, you're being a good steward of your money, because you're now enabling the church that you attend to keep their lights on, to keep the pastor paid. Yeah, obviously pastors get paid, people. I mean, that's the truth.
They should.
But the main thing is for the ministry to keep going, to be able to keep going and keep your church open so that more people can come in and get saved. Also to be equipped to go out into the world and fight off the attacks of the enemy. The tithe is not just a money grab. It's a necessity for the wheels on the bus to continue going.
Yeah.
Now, it may be a money grab if it's 2 a.m. and it's a guy trying to give you spiritual holy water that's going to fix your life.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's wackos out there that say, we need $40,000 today, and I know some of you can write $1,000 check right now. Write that's a
lock the doors. Lock the doors.
Yeah,
nobody leaves.
I heard that thing.
Baby,
that's
baby
insane.
Billy ain't got nothing.
That's insane.
Well,
I do it for the people.
Being a good steward, and what you said, be keeping the lights on. What it does is it allows us to keep growing the kingdom. And there's a lot of people, especially within the church, and we're going to jump on to the fifth item here is mental health. Without the church being there, go back to COVID. When they shut the doors, which we never should have did, that's hindsight. The world was a dark place. It seemed like even the church folk were getting more depression, going through more mental health issues. And with that church open, we can help believers overcome that shame and whatever that struggle is and continue to stay in the light.